Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the AFC West show. Myself, Rob, Omar, what's going on? How are you?
What is up, Rob? How are we doing, my brother? I am well.
How's everything on the Ball and Buds network?
Good. Definitely this week we have our special Veterans Day combat sports special. So, every few weeks, usually for a UFC pay-per-view around that time, we will bring on our UFC and combat sports insider, Clubber D, the Combat G. So he will be on with yours truly, and we will be going on at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central this Saturday. That's Veterans Day, November 11th. Again, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We will be on the Ball and Buds. YouTube will be on the Bottom Line Sports YouTube, and we will also be on Let's Talk Sports YouTube. So check us on any one of those channels.
Very, very, very nice, man. That sounds like a definite must-watch podcast.
Thank you.
Speaking of must-watch, I was in attendance firsthand to watch the Chargers versus Jets this week.
Ooh.
We took a trip up to MetLife, me and my son. That was actually my birthday present for my wife. So thank you to my wife, Nicole, for giving me those tickets. Got up there, tailgated a little bit, got into the game early, saw warm-ups, saw all these guys getting ready for the game. It was pretty cool. We had great seats. We were like 16 rows off the field. So it was perfect.
Right.
Perfect. Weather wasn't too bad. And obviously the end result was pretty good. We left the stadium very happy. Chargers beating the Jets 27-6. But I gotta tell you, Omar, we won the game, but the offense did not do anything whatsoever. It was at times tough to watch. I don't know. Obviously, the Jets have a very, very good defense, so I'm going to give them the credit of saying that defense is very good, as opposed to what happened to the Chargers. They only got 191 total yards of offense. Herbert was 16 for 30, so barely 50%, only 136 yards passing. Obviously, I think the game changed completely right off the bat with that Darius Davis touchdown, that punt return. I think a lot of Jets fans were in shock when that happened, because it was just, we were 4 and out or 3 and out, and then all of a sudden we come back with this touchdown, and just kind of it definitely changed things a little bit. So watching the game, what were your thoughts of watching that game, and what can the Chargers take as a positive from that game?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say I hope that you and your son really enjoyed your experience. It's funny because I remember you told me that, but the game was so, and excuse me as a Raiders fan, unmemorable in the fact that I literally forgot it happened a few days ago. Now, if I was a Chargers fan, I'd probably be a little more happy than that. Yeah, exactly. So, but it wasn't really anything that needed to be registered. The Jets just are not a good team. They have a good defense, but they're not a good team. They're very much held back by their quarterback. They need to get the upgrade there, but obviously the ownership there is trying to keep Wilson in to go ahead and tank the season and get a good draft pick as possible. Fine, whatever. The Chargers, on the other hand, I felt more bad for you because as I saw the final score, I thought, oh man, Brandon Staley is going to last another year, isn't he? I think that's what you most don't have to look forward to. Excuse me. But as to what you do have to look forward to, the defense played better and the running game was much better. Eckler finally looked healthy.
Yeah, he does look over the last 2 games a lot healthier than what he did. Yeah, the running game was there, but the Jets do have a good defense. I definitely think Herbert was concerned about the pass rush. I don't think he had a lot of time in the pocket, so he had to try to, dink and dunk to try to keep the ball moving. And, that's kind of tough to do. The Jets do have great linebackers, great corners, and it was definitely a tough game to watch. Being there, it was tough watching it because it was just, I can being that close, you can really see how the defenses are playing. You can really see how things are going. You can get a feel for the game. It's pretty cool. Like that was, and I definitely think my son was in awe of that because he's never seen anything like that. That was his first game.
That's what I thought. I thought you said it was his first game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that whole thing was just very cool because seeing what the defense was giving the Chargers, Herbert had to do what he had to do. He wasn't 100% accurate when he was trying to throw the ball down the field, but I don't know how much of that is because of his hands. I don't know how much of that is because of him being worried about the pass rush. But, like you said, they did what they were supposed to do. Unfortunately, it does extend Staley for a little while longer. Being 4-4, it's kind of, you're in that no man's land because I had mentioned it, Cincinnati's starting to play better. So they're a team that you got to worry about with the wild card. Obviously, you're probably not catching the Chiefs in the West. We'll talk about that game in a little bit. And your Raiders are also, 4-5, 4 wins. We got to talk a little bit about that too. But so you're kind of in no man's land right now. So you don't know, like, to really start getting pumped up, or do you kind of just ride the wave and just see where it takes you, type of thing,
I mean, it's a tough, very, very, very tough game coming up, and I would say it's a must win. But I think Staley at this point, I think he saved himself with this beatdown of the Jets for at least a little while longer. So I don't think it's a must win. I think he can lose this game and still have his job. But it's going to be a very tough game, and it's going to be a game that will define your season. If you all beat the Lions, you have a good chance to go to the playoffs. If you lose to the Lions, you have a good chance of going right down with us and the Broncos.
I hear you. That's exactly what I was just thinking. Now, speaking of head coaches, changes, interim coaches, whatever you want to do, your Raiders played against the Giants. Now, we got it. Listen, I've never been a big Raiders fan whatsoever. I'm going to tell you, I'll be straight up with you. Omar, you're a great guy. I love you. But I've never been able to get 100% behind the Raiders. I gotta mention this before we start talking about dissecting this game a little bit. The Giants are just a bad team, right? I mean, you agree with that, right? That their quarterback situation, everything that's going on right now with them is definitely an issue. So Raiders playing the Giants, big win, 30-6, trumping of the Giants. O'Connell, 209 yards passing. Jacobs, 98 yards on the run. 334 total yards of offense. And here's something that's pretty cool. I actually picked up the Raiders defense for this week in my fantasy team. They ended up getting me like 20-something points because they had 6 sacks and 2 INTs. So the defense definitely coming through for the Raiders. As a Raider fan, how do you guys feel? What were your thoughts after this game, and where do you think that the Raiders are standing right now? And what were your thoughts on the new coach, Antonio Pierce?
Yeah, I think you can see from the huge smile on my face that we are happy in Raider land. We all got our wish. The Patriots' fake dynasty in the West is now over. The ding dong, the wicked witch is dead. Send him back to Belichick. He has job security there. I'm sure he'll be okay. It was a much needed change. This team needed a change in voice. This team needed a change in leadership. This team needed a change in pretty much every way conceivably possible if they wanted to start turning things around to become a better franchise, not just a better team this year. Because, yeah, they have a few winnable games coming up, but they're still not a playoff team in my eyes, and nor do I believe that they should want to make the playoffs. I think at this point we need more draft picks and better draft position than anything. Now, I'm never going to say no to making the playoffs. Obviously, I would love that, but it's a very hard road, as you just mentioned in your your statement there about the Chargers. So while I think Antonio Pierce did a great job, I do like him as a coach. I think if he is able to continue at least with a 500 record, I say sign him on long term. As we talked about before, he was one of the hotter coaching prospects last cycle. And honestly, he brings that Raider fire. He brings that passion, even though he's a Giant. That being said, like you said, it was a mirror of your beatdown of the Jets, except that the Giants are a way worse team because they don't have a defense. But both of their offenses are horrible. Their quarterbacks are bad. Hopefully, I've torn my ACL, so I hope Daniel Jones gets better. I knew once it went down, I knew exactly what it was because that's how I tore my ACL originally. Playing football was the same exact way. So I hope he gets better. If you're running out there with, Tommy, don't call me Danny DeVito, you're not going to win very many games, So if I were to say I was happy with the win, which I am, you know what I mean? I believe that, yeah, it can give us a spark. Yeah, we should win this weekend. But it's not a long-term, we're going to go turn around and win 8 games in a row and take the division or something. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where that was my thought on it. It's a win. It gets you guys to 4-5, which obviously is great. You're testing out, like you said, you're doing a lot of the things that you have talked about in prior episodes where you're testing out O'Donnell, see what you got with him. You're essentially testing out, Antonio Pierce to see if he is a true candidate moving forward. Definitely, like what he had going on, what he had going on after the game and all that fun stuff. So it should be interesting. We'll talk about your upcoming games and the flip side of this. The other game to talk about, the Broncos had a bye, so they didn't play last week. But the Chiefs did play in Germany, early game against the Dolphins. 21-14, the Chiefs win. That offense is definitely have some issues, I believe. That's just, and I'm not trying to say anything, talk down against the Chiefs or anything like that, but I definitely think the Chiefs offense is sputtering a little bit. But to me, that defense won the game for the Chiefs. What were your thoughts of the Chiefs versus Dolphins game?
Yeah, you summed it up exactly right, and more succinctly than I can say. So I'm not even going to go much more into it except elaborate on a couple of your points. Their offense is sputtering. They have no wide receivers to name. Yeah, we can name them, but they're not performing very well right now. The whole cadre over there. Their running game is, even with Isaiah Pacheco, who I actually like as a running back. He runs really hard. He's very shifty. It's just not getting them in gear. All they have right now is Mahomes and Travis Kelce. So if it's not for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and you saw what happened when Patrick Mahomes was sick, right? They lost the game. If one of them is hit, if he's sick or Travis Kelce's hurt or Taylor Swift, God forbid, isn't at the game, The Chiefs might lose, but they're still top in the division, as you mentioned. They beat a Dolphins team that can't get out of their own way. The Dolphins can't win against good teams, but they are still a good team. And the reason that they held them down is exactly what you said. Their defense, who has been excellent all year long and has been making up for the offense's underwhelming performance.
It is, it's one of those things where, again, as a Chief fan, you're thankful for the win, but you also have to be saying, all right, what's going on here with the offense? Because like you said, the receiving core for them, it's not, you can't write home about anybody from the receiver standpoint. And if they don't have a running game, how are they going to move the ball? And how are they going to move the ball? It's one thing to do this now in the regular season, but you know how hard it gets to move the ball from an offensive standpoint in the playoffs. So, there's got to be some concern if you're a Chiefs fan with the team.
Yeah, they've had in the past years, you're right, they've had the complementary pieces around them in, Tyreek Hill in the wide receiver spot when he was there a couple years ago. They've usually had a stable of running backs, whether it be McKinnon or whoever that is rotating through there. In the past, Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year. That he's always running new running backs through there, but they usually have some sort of success in order to keep the offense open so that Mahomes is able to spread the ball around to more receivers that are actually going to catch the ball instead of dropping it like these do. At some point, and I'm surprised it hasn't, happened yet, but at some point, a team is going to completely shut down Travis Kelce. They're going to be able to figure it out where they, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I don't get paid to be an NFL defensive coordinator either. But I would say at some point, if they don't have weapons anywhere else, you got to figure out how to take down the main one, or at least keep them to, less than 5 catches, 50 yards in a game or something like that.
Right. It's going to be interesting. The one thing that they do have going for them, though, they do have a bye this week coming up, so maybe they could.
I need that.
Maybe they could, get healthier, get some things together, maybe try to see if they could, change things up. So for games next week, like I said, Chiefs have a bye. Your Raiders are playing against the team that my Chargers just beat, the Jets. Jets are 1.5 points that they're given, actually, which I find to be kind of strange. Over under is 36.5 in this game. So to me, right away, I think I'm picking the Raiders and the points, definitely.
Like I mentioned earlier, I will never turn down a win, no matter how ugly the win may be. I expect to see similar to what your Chargers did to the Jets. I don't expect it to be much different. We probably won't score as many points. It's probably going to be more like a 20-6 game or 18-6 or something like that. But since it's 36.5, I'll say 21. No, I'll say 21 to. I'll take no. I don't know. Wow. I don't want to give them 14 because I don't think they can get to 14. Honestly, I don't think the Jets can even get to 14. But I guess maybe 24-10, 24-14 to get over the spread. Raiders win.
Nice. I'm right there with you. I'm thinking. Obviously, Zach Wilson definitely an issue. So who knows what's going to happen? I was actually talking to a Jet fan today because he asked me at work how things went and how I enjoyed MetLife and all that fun stuff. And that's what we were talking about. I'm like, listen, dude, you guys should just right now. Obviously, you got the Panthers as the Panthers and the Cardinals as the 2 worst teams in the league right now with only 1 win. Both those teams have quarterbacks. So if any of them get that first or second pick, I think somebody like the Jets or we were talking New England, or one of these teams have to trade up to try to go after a quarterback, because even though you have Aaron Rodgers maybe coming back, what is he going to do? Give you one more year, So there's a lot of talk about the possibility of getting traded up and getting a quarterback, because obviously Zach Wilson is not your quarterback. So,
I mean, you have to make a change at the end of the year, just because, as you said, and as we all know, hey, God bless him. I hope he can be a career backup or something, but he is not a starter in this league. He is not good enough to be a starter. His arm is not good enough to get the throws that he needs to get. And he, apparently, although he seems to be a pretty bright kid, he's not able to process the defenses correctly. It looks like he's seeing, as Mark Sanchez said at one time, another Jet, the ghosts out there. It's the problem is, as you mentioned, though, you have Aaron Rodgers. So can you bring yourself as an organization, knowing that you have Aaron Rodgers coming back, knowing that you brought him in because you do have a championship defense, because you do have pieces that you brought around him to complement him? Can you actually spend a first-round pick on a quarterback, or would you have to wait till the second or third round because you may need to get another valuable pick, a piece, that could complement elsewhere, whether that be on the line or another receiver to complement Garrett Wilson or whatever.
Hey, Omar, man, that's a great point. That's Jets are going to be in a tough spot, man. Either way, that's very tough. That's a great point bringing that up, because you can't really, give away an opportunity.
You'd be mortgaging your present for a future when your present right now is a $50 million quarterback you're paying or whatever.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be tough situation to be a Jet fan. But so we agree with the Raiders winning that game.
2-game winning streak. Let's go.
Nice. The Broncos are coming off a bye. They're playing the Bills. Bills are given 7.5. The over-under in this game is 46.5.
Wow. Yeah.
The way that the Bills have been playing, I'm hoping Josh Allen goes off. I have him as my fantasy quarterback. I believe he will have I think he will have a very good game. So I would take the Bills and the points and ride with them against the Broncos. The Broncos are just,
hey, don't say that too loud. You don't want to ride with anybody but the Broncos, or you might get in trouble with the Broncos country out there. All right.
That is true. But I don't know how much the Broncos have.
I like disparaging the Broncos. Let's use that against them from now on. We're riding with whoever's against the Broncos. I agree with you. And actually, I don't know why I said wow when you mentioned the number, because I already put a score for this, and it's 35-14 Bills. I do believe that, like you said, Josh Allen uses the Denver much maligned secondary and shreds them to pieces.
It's, I'm hoping,
which is sad because they have Patrick Surtain, who's still one of the best corners in the league, even though their whole unit is as a unit is trash.
Yeah, I'm happy that the Broncos are playing the Bills this week. Knock them down. Let's just keep them down and don't give them any type of momentum
at all
moving forward. I think this is the week, obviously, to do that. You had mentioned too, a very tough game for the Chargers, going against the Lions. They are home, which is a good thing, I guess. That's one good thing. The Chargers are getting 2.5 points at home. The over-under in this game is 48.5. This is one of those games that, I know it's kind of cliche to say, but this game could really come down to coaching staff. And I know that sounds kind of like maybe like a scapegoat type of analysis, but I really think that, you got Dan Campbell on one side. You know what he can do. You know how he has, players that rally around him. And then on the other side, you have Staley, who is the direct opposite. It seems like they don't rally around him. They win despite him. So I just really see this as, what's Staley going to do to mess this game up? Unfortunately. And it's unfortunately you have to say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that is going to be a close game only because the Chargers are at home. But I completely agree with you. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think Staley's going to make some sort of stupid coaching decision or a stupid fourth down to go for it or not go for it decision, and it's going to ruin it. And I have now that you mentioned the spread, because I didn't have an actual score for this game, but now that you give me the spread, I'm going to say 34-28 Lions.
Yeah, I think we could be, right around this area of, 3 to 4. I think it could be close. It could be within a touchdown because the Chargers have been better against the run. I know the Lions like to run the ball. They have been better. So if they can contain the Lions running game, I definitely think that it could go back and forth. It's just, are we going to get gunslinger Herbert, or are we going to get, Duke and, dump and dunk, Herbert? That's the real question to me.
I mean, you're gonna have to hope that you do, because I'll tell you right now, Goff is about to slash your secondary up like Freddy Krueger.
Exactly. And, and that's the thing too, because you just say, the receiving core for the Chargers, just, they're not, they're not getting open. And, you have Allen, but he's drawing double teams all the time. You have Guyton, who just came back. He had a couple of drops. You had Eckler out of the backfield, had a couple of drops. They don't seem to be able to get the ball to Quentin Johnston. He doesn't seem to be able to get open. Wow. So what are you going to do? That was the problem. Say what you will about the durability factor of Mike Williams, but when he played, he was one of those guys that even when there was tough coverage, because he was such a big guy and, he had good hands, he was one of those guys that you could just throw the ball up there. You don't really have that anymore on the Chargers right now, where I'm sure Herbert has, enough faith to just kind of chuck it.
Yeah. In the, immortal words of, and you probably know this as a Northeast basketball guy, Rick Pitino, when he came to coach my Boston Celtics, Antonio Gates is not walking through that door. It's Keenan Allen is not a spring chicken.
I think we froze with Omar there for a minute.
Wow. Did I freeze there for a second?
You froze for a second there.
Where did you last hear me at?
I heard you saying we basically don't have Antonio Gates coming through the door anymore.
Yeah, so Antonio Gates is not walking through that door anymore. And when you have when you have two really good receivers and one is hurt, and like you mentioned, the other one is getting double teamed, and the other are either unproven young players or rookies, it's just not a recipe for success, especially when your starting running back also was hurt for the first few games of the year, and also that your quarterback has a thumb issue. All of these things are the perfect storm for the offense to just underwhelm, I guess you could say, which is what they did last week.
Omar, I don't know if you still have that TV on in front of you, but the Celtics went on a 10-0 run to make it a close. to make it a close game, but the Sixers did pull it out 106-103.
Okay. No, I was watching it on my phone, but I couldn't pay attention because I would rather pay attention to the show. But yeah, no, I did not see that. Damn. Well, I told my dad we would make the comeback, so at least we made the comeback.
You did. You guys did make a comeback. Which
I'm not worried at all, Rob. I told my dad this the other day. It was funny. The game where we were up on the Wizards, I think we were up like 50-20, like in the second quarter or something. And I texted him. I was like, damn, this sucks. And he's like, what do you mean? We're up by like 40. And I'm like, yeah, but they haven't started selling NBA Finals tickets yet. And I had literally started looking for Finals tickets. So I was like, I'm so happy with this team and the way that it's constructed. I mean, there's some good teams out there. The Sixers are good, as we saw today. They can beat them. Obviously, the Bucks in the East, and then you got the Nuggets, Warriors in the West, and the Suns that you have to worry about. But I mean, the Celtics got to be top 2 or top 3 at the end of the year, if not better. So
I do a show with my son where we talk NBA, and
Yes.
We gave early picks, and actually my pick were the Celtics, and I gotta say I went out on a limb and I had the Celtics in the finals. But I'm going to tell you right now, the one thing with the Sixers is, as good as Embiid has been, obviously MVP, scoring titles, whatever it might be, he's done all this without, in my opinion, a really great coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so far this year, Nick Nurse has been an incredible coach. You can just see it from the way they play defense. You can just see the spacing on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
It's night and day. And, in today's world, sometimes coaches get too much respect. Some of them, sometimes they don't get any respect. Nick Nurse, man, you got to give it to him because you got to give him some props so far, the way that they have played this season so far. And I'm going to tell you, we're obviously not an NBA show, but I find it interesting that this game is on while we're on, and you happen to be a Celtics fan, and I'm a Sixers fan.
Yeah. I actually didn't hear the last part there because I cut out. But I did. I think that the East is a much harder conference now, obviously, than it used to be. It used to be where it was like 1 or 2 teams in the East and everybody else was in the West. And so I like how the East has built themselves up this year. And I really do think the contenders at the top in the East are stronger than in the West. I still do like the Nuggets and the way they're constructed, but I think losing Bruce Brown is going to hurt them a lot. And I also believe that Aaron Gordon not having much of a shot is going to come to affect them again in the playoffs. And Jokic can only do so much. So I see either the Celtics or the Bucks coming out as NBA champions. And I actually chose the Bucks over the Celtics on the bottom line, as not as the NBA champions, but as the number 1 seed in the East.
Nice. All right. Well, what do you have going on this week? You mentioned your MMA show. What do you got going on for the rest of the week?
Yeah. So obviously, aside from catching Rob and I here on the weekly show, you can catch me weekly on The Bottom Line Sports. Catch Flo Canteen, Hot Take Jake, and myself. We do an around the horn style format. And we go on live Sundays at 7:30 Eastern, right between the day games and your Sunday night game. We'll review all the NFL. And then our midweek Tuesday show at 8 p.m. every Tuesday, where we go over the other NFL games that we didn't review, college, MLB, NBA, and we do all of the other sports. As well as Rob mentioned, you can catch us this weekend for a special Veterans Day Combat Sports programming. We will have a UFC and Combat Sports Insider. Clubber D, the Combat G, will be joining us to go over UFC 295, the big card in New York, the two heavyweight battles that they will have. As well, we will review Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou, and the new Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk signing. I'm just trying to get all the names in there for the algorithm, Rob. Excuse me. I'm trying to get us to rank a little higher. And anyway, so you can catch us this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, either at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS, or at The Bottom Line Sports, or at Let's Talk Sports, because we will be on all 3 YouTube channels. Thank you for letting me promote that, Rob. I appreciate it.
Hey, Omar. All you guys. I tuned in to your show last night. Great show. You guys really do have a great show on, and
Thank you.
I was watching, very impressed. So if you haven't already, take a watch. These guys, they're entertaining and they're fun to watch, man.
Appreciate that. And yes, hey, plug your show and your son, and also tell me which episode you hyped up my Celtics, because I'm going to go watch that and leave some comments in like that.
Yeah, we're trying to put together a definite time slot for the Logan's Talk NBA. This is his last weekend for my son of AAU basketball. Travel basketball. So we should lighten up a little bit. So what we're going to try to obviously to do a show every Monday. So be on the lookout for that. I will definitely advertise it when we're going to go live with that. But we do have a show already that we did do. Obviously, we're doing this show with the AFC West show. I do my late night Sunday night shows with Johnny and Alan, where we wrap up this Sunday night game and talk about that. And then right before this, I do the Nova Nation podcast, where we talk about Villanova basketball. We had on a great guest tonight with Andy Pertinkin. And the week before that, on the season premiere, I had former point guard, great from Villanova, on the women's side, Adriana Hahn, who she happens to be the greatest three-point shooter in Big East history. Oh. So if you haven't watched that show, she's great. Really, we get in depth about the women's team last week, gotten in depth with the men's team this week. So, go and watch those two shows. But that's basically what we got going on.
You need to get some was it Kerry Kittles? Was he Villanova?
Kerry Kittles was a Villanova guy. Yep.
Got to get some Kerry Kittles on there. There you go.
Kerry Kittles. Yeah. I mean, they had some great players, some great teams. Obviously, the Jay Wright era was just great. We love talking about that. We reminisced about that tonight a little bit. Very excited for what they got going on this year. I'm a big college basketball fan. Omar, I'm going to tell you, man, college sports to me is just great. I love college football. I love what's going on right now with all the games. I watch more games on Saturdays than I do on Sundays. I'll admit it. But, now that you're throwing in college basketball, my Mondays, my Tuesday nights, my Wednesday nights, I'll probably go watch a game right after this. I love college basketball. So that's where, I spend most of my time with the college game. So very excited for Villanova this year.
Nice. Let's go.
Yep. And so if you haven't already subscribed to the Let's Talk Sports Network, I say it all the time. There's so many great shows, so much to watch there. Like us.
You can catch Rob 24/7.
Almost, yeah, almost. No, but there's a lot of great guys on there that are on there 24/7, even more than me probably. So be on the lookout for them. Hit the notification button so you know when your favorite show is coming on. Subscribe to the Ball and Buds. Check them out as well. And Omar, again, I'm always rooting for you with the Raiders. So have a good game against them Jets. It might not be the most fun game to watch, but hopefully it'll be a victory. And
I appreciate that. And, I would wish you the same. But if I did that, then I would be going against your will and what you want.
yeah,
So
that's true.
I'm going to root for a loss so that you can be happy. That's what I'm going to root for.
As morbid as that sounds, thank you so much.
All right, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll see you. Take care, guys.